For wrestling diehards only, this is the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome in another edition of the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, where we are talking wrestling week in, week out in the great state of Idaho. We are coming to you live on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, X account, and the Idaho Wrestling News Facebook page. My name is Brandon Maney. The Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast is brought to you by Green Solutions. They are two brothers born in Rexburg, Idaho. They've been blessed to find a way to work with one another. They say, our dad put us on the wrestling mat at 5 years old, and through our childhood, we had a lot of success in high school and college. Through wrestling, we learned that having success not only takes hard work, but putting in more time than our opponents. In our business, we put in the time and energy to make us great at what we do. We feel we have an edge and can help our customers have a great experience. We are the premium carpet cleaning company in the area, and our main focus over the last 3 years has been in water damage, emergencies, and disasters, because nobody wants to wake up to a foot of water in the basement. That being said, we've learned how to de-escalate the situation and help the customer through the difficult time. We love East Idaho and are grateful for this area and our loyal customers. And we are so thankful to Green Solutions for sponsoring the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast here on IdahoSports.com. Let's turn it over to our panel, who's going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting tonight. Let's welcome in from the Treasure Valley, Coach Al Fontes. Al, what's going on?
Not much. How you doing? Happy Tuesday. Well, happy to be here.
Yeah, you're looking very sharp. You've got your, is that a Rocky Mountain Grizzlies wrestling polo on, Al?
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good. Got a new mic too. Looks good. So good setup there.
Thank you.
Just in time for the postseason. Also here from East Idaho, let's welcome on Brian Zollinger. Brian, what's up?
How we doing, diehards?
Doing great.
Ready to rock and roll, huh?
It's rock and roll.
No doubt about it. The postseason has arrived. District competitions taking place throughout the state, some taking place tonight. So if you are hanging out live in the chat tonight, first of all, we want to hear from you. If you've got a question, a comment, a shout out, something you want us to talk about, throw it in the chat. We'll throw it up on the screen. Really, you guys drive the conversation. And then also for those that are not able to tune in live tonight, if you could hit that like button if you're on Facebook, or the subscribe button if you're on YouTube, and then share this when it's all said and done. That'll help everybody find it a little easier on replay. Of course, guys, we start the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast with the best thing that we saw from the past week of competition. Al, final week of regular season competition, what was the best thing you saw?
Great match at the Conrad Garner tournament up north. You had Seth Martin, Post Falls, Tech Falls, Sandpoint's Jordan Tyler, who is a tough kid. So that's an incredible match there.
That is. That I've been saying for a couple of weeks. I think Martin looks like pound for pound, he could be the best wrestler in the state right now, because Tyler is tough. So that's an impressive. To do it in that fashion was crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it was the matchup we all wanted to see, and it definitely delivered. Brian, what was the best thing you saw from the past week of competition?
I'm going to stay on this trend of seeing people healthy. We saw Matthew Martino in a bracket for the first time. Now, I think I don't know what the strategy was to get one record. I think you have to have one win to be considered for seeding at a district tournament. So perhaps that was it, but it looks like he was in the bracket and then medical forfeited out. But to have, another one of those kids, it's, D1 commit, potentially the best in the state, back on the mat, I thought was awesome.
Yeah, that's
it shakes things up for sure at 4A.
Yes, it adds a level of intrigue that maybe we weren't banking on, coming in. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out, of course, during the seeding meetings coming up here this Sunday. Or I guess that's in 2 Sundays. I don't want to get too far ahead. Okay, the best thing I saw from the past week, guys, a couple more members of the 100 Win Club across the state of Idaho. One on the boys' side, one on the girls' side. Al, Elise Twait from Meridian picked up her 100th career victory, and she is having quite the individual season now. She is 37-0. Nobody's touched her yet.
No, 2-time state champion, All-American, comes from a great family, great wrestling family. I hear she's one of the hardest workers in the room. She's on a good trajectory. I hope she goes on to the next level after this season.
Oh, she'll get some looks for sure. So of that 37-0 mark, only 2 matches have gone the distance this year. Otherwise, 31 falls, 2 techs, 1 major decision, and 1 decision as well, and then 2 forfeits are in there. She has been only scored on 1 time this season by the number 10 girl in the country in the Reno finals. She went on to beat her, of course. Currently ranked number 12 in the country, took 4th at the folk style preseason nationals against a pretty stacked field. And probably most impressive, Brian, is a 3.97 cumulative GPA, 4.23 weighted GPA. That's awesome.
That is amazing. I love to see that. You know, it seems like these kids that are just dominant like that, they're good in all aspects, the grades all around. So that's super impressive. And her season, that is just insane. She's amazing, and it's going to be fun to watch her at the next level too.
Yes.
Yeah, she was one of my hidden gems, and I've written about 37 tier 1 hidden gems. The average GPA is 3.6 or higher. Wow. And there was at least a quarter of them, or 40% of them are honor society. So great, hardworking group of kids in this state.
Yeah, that is awesome for sure. And then the other member of the 100 win club, Brian, actually comes from your neck of the woods over in East Idaho. Mac Hall from West Jefferson over there in Territon. He got his 100th career win in the semifinals at the Mario Derazio Memorial Tournament up in Chalice. So Coach Pete Fisher sent that along from West J. So that's pretty cool too from Mac Hall.
That is pretty awesome.
Now, didn't he take 6th last year, Brian, at state?
He did. Yeah.
He's a junior, right?
Yep.
Nice.
I think, you know, he's top 2 or 3 there this year too. I mean, he lost to Fulmer the other day, but looks good for sure.
That's awesome. Congratulations to both.
Yes, awesome to see that for sure. In the chat, Al, you kind of talked about it, Seth Martin and what he did for Post Falls. Here's Tiffany and Brian Twait in the chat. Seth Martin is next level. Excited to see him in college in the future. And then here's Rob Sherrill, a Sandpoint guy. Seth is wrestling out of this world right now. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So I figured we'd start there, guys, at the Conrad Garner tournament. This is up in Bonners Ferry, basically a who's who of North Idaho teams. If I'm looking at this right, Lakeland and Post Falls tied for the team title, 248.5 points each. Sandpoint takes 3rd, and then we had several impressive individual results along the way. But Al, can I get your thoughts on Lakeland pushing a really good Post Falls team like that? They've kind of been a team we've identified as a dark horse potentially in the 5A ranks.
No, they're definitely going to be in the mix. They got enough kids to make a showing this year and challenge top 4 or 5. I mean, granted, Post Falls, I think they're a mixture, not to take anything away. They were a mixture of their second and first team. So not everyone's wrestling. That just shows that, you know, at come state, you know, the top 2 teams are pretty solid, but 3rd, 4th, 5th and stuff after that, it's going to be up. There's going to be a lot of close teams.
Yeah, individual champions for Lakeland came at 120 with Carson Leonard, 126 with Jaron Knopp. We also had Austin Howell at 150, and I thought there was one more. That might have been it for individual champions.
Had a couple kids in the finals as well, so yeah. Overall.
Yep.
No, good showing. They'll be in the mix.
Yeah, yes. that could really shake, you know, Lakeland. I think the polling has them rankings number 3 right now, but that's something to watch is, you know, if they that district up there, they could pull a lot of kids through, and that could really shake things up with Minico and Bishop Kelly for sure.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the team race, and you know, Sandpoint's got some guys that'll push them in some weights, but you know, Moscow, Lewiston, they're kind of the unknowns because they've been competing over in District 2. They'll all compete at the same districts here. So, but I'm with you, Brian. I think Lakeland, if they can get enough guys through, they've got a chance to make some noise at state for sure.
Definitely.
At the end of the day, you got to peak at the right time, and everyone's got to be healthy. Anything can happen.
Yep, for sure. Here's Angie Salas in the chat, guys. Rex Salas at Madison also got his 100th win over the weekend. Congratulations, Rex, the big dog there from Madison. And here is Coach Nieder, finally able to watch live for the first time this season. You guys have been great. Go Idaho Falls Tigers.
We're not speaking to Idaho Falls this week. It's Tiger Grizz dual time tomorrow night, and I think I know the outcome in advance. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be a bloodbath for Idaho Falls, but Coach Snyder's done a great job with the team, and it's always fun. But rivalry week, we can't speak about IF. So
yeah, and Coach Snyder. Sorry, I said your name incorrectly because I do every time. So that's one of these days I'll say it right. Brian, it looks like you're wearing your Skyline Grizzly blue already.
It's blue. Everything I wear is blue during wrestling season. It's not necessarily Skyline, but it's that time of the year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So the Conrad Garner tournament up in Bonners Ferry was a good time. Some good competition. The other big competitions that were taking place in Idaho, Al, over in your neck of the woods, we had the 36th annual Weezer Invitational. This was a who's who of kind of 4A and 3A programs. Fruitland was there. Of course, they won the team title. Snake River came over. Buell was there competing. Fruitland had a second team that took 7th overall. So Fruitland 1, Weezer 2, Snake River 3. And then Jerome and Buell round out the top 5 there at 4 and 5. Was there anything that stood out to you, Al, from the Weezer invite?
Most of the kids I expected to win it or be in the top 2. I mean, you look at 138's Raiden Pugsley, a Buell beating Mesher, Bishop Kelly. That's a tough kid. So that was a good final right there. So that one. Then Kaufman of Fruitland beating Tennessee Thompson was another tough match at 150s. Real two talented kids. But and then you got Gabriel Cox of New Plymouth at 90s. Beating Ryder Sheen. That was another good match as well. So we had some good finals there. It was impressive. Top 2. Most of the weights are pretty solid.
How about the all Fruitland final at 120? Marcus Allman and Wyatt Griffith going 1-2 there at 120.
Yeah, they're probably workout partners and probably neck to neck in the room. So yeah, that's really great to see. And Allman's a tough kid. I mean, he's one of those guys that's been in the mix. I think he can challenge for the top spot this year.
Yeah. So. And then, of course, Caden McKenzie at 157. Coy Kaufman's really coming on, too, at 150. He beat Tennessee Thompson from Bishop Kelly, which was pretty impressive. Weezer had a couple of individual chants. Gabriel Cox, of course, from New Plymouth wins at 190. Brian, was there anything that stood out to you from the Weezer invite?
There was the 106 final that was fun to see. Overtime, 2 of the top kids in the division, Crane beats Swan in sudden victory. I thought that was a outstanding matchup there to see. You get the top 5A and one of the top 3A there, so that was a fun matchup. But and to see Fruitland, there's some good matchups for state for sure. So this was kind of fun. The one last time to see some 4A, 3A, 5A mix it up a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, the kid I've been watching all year is Samson Castillo from Bishop Kelly. He's only a freshman, and he's been in the mix at 165s. That's a tough weight to be a freshman in, and he's been in the mix. So that kid has potential to be right there at the top at the end.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he had, I think in the rankings right now, Maddox Jones from Bonneville is the only person above him. We saw that matchup at Red Halverson, so that could be another fun one at state.
Yeah. And Samson's the cousin of Caddy Saverdi, too. So they're cousins.
Al's most recent Hidden Gems subject, and you can still find that at IdahoSports.com. Coach Snyder wants to know in the chat, Brian, are we betting on the emotion match tomorrow?
You better bring your Skyline hat.
Yeah, that would be fun. Brian, if Skyline drops it, you got to wear an Idaho Falls Tigers hat on next.
Yeah, I think Coach Snyder started that tradition. We were doing this podcast after the duel. I ran over here to do the podcast and had a random knock on my door during the podcast and Matt chat, and Coach Snyder handed me the Idaho Falls hat. So I've got it in the closet in case. But now, if we could do it on the girls' duel, maybe we go 1-1. We'll see.
Yeah, that would be fun for sure. Here's Ryan Marr in the chat, guys. Go Middleton Vikings. Middleton is back down to 5A after they were up at 6A for a brief sojourn. I'm going to save. Charles left a comment about girls wrestling. I'm going to save that for the bottom of the hour when we have our girls wrestling experts on. Okay, so Weezer invite. We talked about the Mario Derazio Memorial Tournament up in Chalice. this actually got a lot of participation, Brian. We had teams coming over from North Idaho. We had a lot of good, strong teams from East Idaho. This was kind of a fun under the radar tournament this past weekend, I thought.
It was, fun mix of teams. It looks like Ryrie pulled it out, South Fremont, Sugar, Twin Falls, Emmett, Firth, but really a great, and there were some good individual matchups at that tournament too. Bonneville had some kids out there. Some of the weights you probably had, 32, you had Carter Britton, Jed Atchley of Teton, good interdivision, 3A, 4A matchups. Packer Banta from South Fremont looked dominant as well. That's, probably the freshman of the year right there with Grayson Packer, 50-0. He's on the verge of greatness if he keeps that up. Since, Nebraska, help me out. Ridge Lovett. I don't know that anyone, have we had a undefeated 4-time state champion since Rich Lovett? I can't think of one.
I can't either.
So, and Grayson Packers, he's on the verge there. 50-0 as a freshman is pretty amazing.
I was thinking Matthews from Declo, but I don't remember if he went undefeated. And was he a 4-time state? He was a 4-time state champ, but I can't remember if he, But
I don't think he went undefeated all 4 years, but it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, that is impressive. The other matchup, Al, I really had my eye on was at 113. Grayson Packer from South Fremont beats Aiden Takita from Skyline. I thought that was a pretty good final there at 113. Also.
Yeah, I've watched Grayson wrestle, and he's on he's a solid kid. So I look forward to seeing the next.
Yeah, Takita's one of the best in 5A. Him and I'm going blank today. The Mountain Home kid were in the finals last year at 107. And so it looks like it's going to be Skyline Mountain Home Finals at 113 again. And that's a rubber match at state because they're 1-1. So, but Packer, 9-1 major decision over Takita, who's one of the best there is. So super impressive.
Yeah.
Looks like Banta wasn't even challenged in this tournament.
No, pretty easy time. We talked about our guy Mac Hall from West Jefferson, picked up win number 100 in the semis, win number 101 in the finals over Tragan Harris from Ryrie. That was a 165. Anytime a North Idaho guy goes over and does damage, got to give a shout out to Zach David from St. Mary's, winning the title at 157. And then in the chat, guys, we've got a question here, and this was one too, Brian, I was interested in. The heavyweight matchup between Austin Reeves from Hellgate that's a Montana school, Hillcrest, Sam Buck from Emmett. This was a good one, 10-4 win for Reeves. I thought this was a good matchup at 285 also.
It is two of the best kids in 5A. So it's good preview of what could happen. I think Reeves right now is number 1, but Buck's right there, and going to be that heavyweight division in 5A is, the top 5, they're right there back and forth. So it's going to be a fun race to watch.
Yep. Okay. A couple of comments here. Coach Snyder says, Brian, you're going to look good in orange tomorrow. That's DJ who said that. Okay. That's DJ. Question from Scott Coons. He wants to know about Fulmer from Teton. Will he go number 1 at state? Now, Scott, are you asking, will he be the number 1 seed at state, or is he going to be at the top of the podium at state? Either way, good chance of both, I'd say.
Yeah, they're absolutely. He's going to be in the mix for sure. Trying to think who else is at that weight. Sarich from Weezer. That could be a fun match. And Avalos from American Falls is tough, but there's a really good chance that Fulmer could pull that out. I don't know if him and Sarich have wrestled this year. I'll have to look, but Fulmer's going to be right in the mix for sure.
Yeah. Scott wanted to know top of the podium. Yes. Very good chance of that for sure. So, Aaron Peterson from Madison, another shout out here for Rex Salas, guys, got his 100th win during the Rigby duel. And, all of his years are at the heavyweight class. So that's pretty tough. And Scott says, no, they have not matched up, Sarich and Fulmer. So
there we go. That's one we can look forward to, because that's, probably the top 2 right now in that weight class. So wait and see what happens at state, but
yeah,
Fulmer's definitely got a shot. I would handicap it. It's those 2.
Yes, for sure. Al, Tiffany and Brian want to know, are there any wrestlers other than Martino that might be off the radar that come back for postseason? I'll ask both of you this. Al, anybody on your radar? Martino's the big one, but
No, I have no one on my radar that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I can't think of any. We had several come back in the last few weeks. Hannah from Madison, Cottle from Madison came back, within the last 2 weeks. Those are two that should be on the podium someplace at 6A. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else out that I've heard of coming back. Those are the only three I know of in the last little bit.
Yep. And if anybody in the chat has any, we would love to hear it. So just let us know in the chat. Okay. I'm trying to think. Those were the kind of the big competitions that happened this past week in boys wrestling. Were there any other, I guess, was the Dick Fleischman this past week, guys? Or was that 2 weeks ago? My head's just been in a fog.
It was this weekend, and it's kind of hard to follow because as far as I could tell, I was in Pocatello for the girls tournament, but I couldn't see.
It was on track.
I
didn't see it on track.
Yeah, I saw the results. I mean, it looks like Eagle went 6-0. They beat Preston, Aberdeen, Highland, Preston, Thunder Ridge, and Pokey. And then Minico went 6-0. And those were the only two teams that I could see that went undefeated. And I mean, Minico, gosh, they probably won by an average of 50 points in their duels. It was like 74-12. I think somebody might have scored 14 points in one of the duels. But there were some good individual matchups that are going to shake up some of the rankings. A couple of Preston kids, the 106-pound Keller, I think he was ranked 4 this week. Minico's Miguel Teague was 2, and Keller beat him. And then Campbell was 4, and Assis was 3 for Minico, and Campbell won that one. So there were some good individual matchups there. Other teams there. Thunder Ridge went 4-2. Aberdeen was there. Canyon Ridge, North Fremont. Highland went 4-2. So some good individual matchups, but it was kind of hard to follow at least the way I could find it on track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I was just double checking to make sure because I was having a hard time tracking any results as well. Here's a guy that's coming back from injury. Maybe guys, Jesus in the chat says Vince Contreras, possibly. Okay.
That'd be good to see. I wonder if he weighed in this week or if he's just ready. I haven't seen it, but that would be awesome if he made it back.
Yeah. What weight do we think he's going to be at?
Good question. Yeah, I haven't seen him all year, so it's a great question where he's coming.
Definitely in the lighter weights, like
120 maybe.
Yeah, I think it was like 120, 126.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, that's a guy we haven't talked about at all this year. So
yeah.
Okay, good looking out. Okay. Any other boys wrestling thoughts before we wrap it up and talk girls? What was an exciting weekend of girls wrestling as well, guys?
Yeah, just excited for the district tournaments now. I guess they start. You said there's one today, a district tournament. Is that what you?
I thought there was, but
could be. That's something on track that's not, it just shows all the district tournaments from the 9th to the 16th. I was going to make some calls and see. And it does look like Contreras he was at, we should have known that. I guess he's been back a couple of weeks, but at Halverson, he was in the finals at 120.
Well,
with Anderson. So yeah, that's good to have him back. And it looks like he had a couple matches in January. So, there we go.
This is why we lean on you, the wrestling community, because there are so many competitors at so many schools in every corner of the state. It's hard to keep track of all of it sometimes. Yeah. And so
4 divisions, 5 divisions is tough.
Yep. Jesus says 120, he thinks, for Vince Contreras. Okay. Couple more here. Eddie Card wants to give a shout out to Max Cry of Firth. He texts Fabi from Clearwater Valley, ranked number 3 there. Jesus, and that was in Chalice. Yep, at the Derazio tournament. Jesus says, I haven't kept up, but what happened with Ivan Ivanov?
I think he's wrestling Greco. I think he's on that Greco circuit. I think he's looking to take it to another level. So as far as I understand.
Yes, and he's capable of doing it for sure. He had a great summer competing on the big circuit.
The soupless system has proven that if you dedicate your time, you can be at the world level. It's he's on that trajectory. I wish him the best.
Yep. Okay, last question, guys, and then we'll go to girls wrestling. Tiffany and Brian want to know, are all district seating criteria now the same? Brian, I think you are going to have the most experience with this answer.
I'm not sure that obviously state tournaments in the rules manual. It's not in the state manual that the districts have to be the same, as far as I've seen. So I don't know a definitive answer there. I'm
gonna guess, just based on other sports, it's probably different from district to district. That's how it goes in other sports. It's the IHSAA basically gives a lot of carte blanche to the districts and lets them conduct it however they want to. So that would be my guess there. Al, sorry, I cut you off.
No, I'm just thinking. I couldn't tell you right now. Doesn't seem to be consistent from what I've seen before, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. And Coach Schneider, one last word. Great to see Matthew Martino back. He will be fun to watch. Yes, no doubt about it. Okay, guys, before we get to our girls wrestling discussion, want to thank our sponsors from Green Solutions, East Idaho's trusted experts in water, mold, and fire damage restoration, seamlessly working with your insurance. We are pleased to be, we're getting closer to the postseason, guys, so we've got to up our game. So here are both of our girls wrestling experts. So we're going to go 5 deep here in this girls wrestling discussion. First of all, we'd like to welcome from North Idaho, Val Johansson, head coach of the Sandpoint Bulldogs girls wrestling program. Val, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, guys. It's good to be back this week.
Yes, great to see you. Yes. And down in the southern part of the state. So you've got it easy, Val. You kind of cover the north, and then Fred's got that big swath of area in the south. Fred Bartlett as well. Fred, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Good to see you guys. Okay, so we had a comment earlier in the show tonight. Charles said he just saw a post saying Idaho has 1,000 girls registered in wrestling under the USA membership. Fred, that's awesome news.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I've been watching the numbers like every day for the last month, just kind of waiting for it to break up over that 1,000 members mark. So that's a pretty significant growth from last year. We were 750 for the whole entire year, and we still got a long ways to go with, I'd say probably most of the high school girls don't have cards yet, so memberships yet. So, I mean, that could double. I don't know. We're not probably going to hit 2,000, but I think 1,500 is pretty reasonable, to be honest.
So Fred, is that age group all the way up to juniors?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw something where I was reading something about Wisconsin reached 2,000, but their population is a lot more than ours. So for what we have, we got to admit that's pretty good per capita of our population.
Yeah. I think we're ahead of Utah right now, which makes me smile.
Yeah, because Fred, Utah's kind of been one of the real trailblazers in terms of girls wrestling, right?
Yeah, they do a good job.
Yep. Okay, here's Tiffany and Brian in the chat. Great to see kids get to come back for postseason. It's a long road for sure. Best of luck to Ashton. Eddie talking about Ashton Allen from Firth back tonight after a shoulder injury, gets the win tonight. So just kind of wrapping up our boys conversation there. Okay. Val, were you up in Bonners Ferry this past weekend?
We were up in Bonners Ferry at the Conrad Garner. So love that tournament. Love that it just acknowledges a great man who has given decades upon decades to this sport and in all realms, coaching, refereeing, mentoring. So it's just always good to go up there and honor him this weekend. And there was a lot of action up at this tournament. Just you guys touched on the boys side this weekend, watching the Lakeland. They did a duel Friday night. So Lakeland boys and Post Falls boys dueled, and that was exciting and pretty explosive to watch. On the girls side, we had a great time. Probably the best thing I saw was the elevation of the Post Falls girls wrestling team. Those girls have continued to get better every single week. And they just battled. I think in almost every weight class, there was a post falls placer. I think in all but like 3, they were top 1 or 2. So that was just very exciting. And fun fact, Seth Martin's mama is helping out as the girls coach there for post falls. And she is just pouring into those girls and doing an excellent job. So wanted to give her a big shout out tonight.
Oh, we love to hear that. That's great.
Yes.
So yeah, Post Falls took second to Sandpoint in the team race. Bonners Ferry ended up finishing third. In terms of individual results, what jumped out to you, Val?
The 107 between Isabella Rice and Nevaeh Therian, that match, and they did the finals under the lights, and that match was under the lights, 13-9 decision in favor of Nevaeh. And that match just went back and forth, and it was just a battle to the very end. And so that was probably the highlight match of the weekend. There were some other good ones along. Emma Younger from Post Falls had a great tournament. But that 107 match, the 114 match, Summer Birch of Sandpoint and Veda Hutchinson of Post Falls was also very good.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the 126, because Emma Younger from Post Falls, as you mentioned, she took second. Sandpoint's Isabella Stark, who we know, great competitor, took third. Shelby Garton from Timberlake wins this weight class. I'll be honest, it's a name I haven't heard a lot this year.
Well, Shelby's somebody that we should – Emma or Shelby?
Shelby. I mean, Emma as well. I mean, she competed very well too. Yes.
Yeah. Shelby, she started out the season 132 and dominated that weight class. I mean, taking first in almost every tournament, I believe, other than Raleigh. And then she jumped down to 126, and she looks very good there. She's just kind of been going through. I was very impressed that Emma Younger took her out of the first round. Shelby hasn't had a lot of out of the first round matches, so that was quite impressive. But Shelby, pound for pound at 126, I have to give her credit. She looks very good there.
Have her and Hanks wrestled this season yet? No. That's another fun one we can look forward to at state potentially.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That'd be awesome for sure. Here is Coach Martin in the chat. Thanks, Val. How lucky are we to get to be in the room with these amazing ladies? That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yep. And here is Lynn, our resident Post Falls Trojan supporter. Better late than never. Go Emma. Yes, Emma Younger competed very well. And here is Coach Martin. Shelby is wrestling lights out. Love to watch her wrestle. And Rob Sherrill agrees. Shelby will be a force at state as well. So, yeah, it was really good competition from all the North Idaho schools up there at the Conrad Garner girls tournament. And then Fred, down in Southern Idaho, Kimberly had a girls competition. And then we had the Coral Sugiyama Classic as well at Irving Middle School over in Pocatello. I believe that was the first time there was a girls tournament in Pocatello the same weekend as Dick Fleischman, right?
Yep. It was.
Yeah, I think so. It's pretty cool. They had the Coral Sugiyama and then also the Conrad Garner paying homage to very significant people in women's wrestling. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it just stood out from the Coral Sugiyama tournament was at 114, Kinsey Williams won that bracket, and I'm not sure what happened to Zayden Espinoza, but for Zayden to reach the finals is pretty impressive. She beat Lydia Townsend in the semis, which that's a pretty good win for freshmen. So
yeah. What else stood out? Did they keep team scores at the Sugiyama, or was it just?
They did. Thunder Ridge won it. Eagle was next. Malad, Preston, Chalice, and Skyline. That's where I was this weekend. The other 165 I thought was also interesting. You had number one Alordi go down in the semis to the Preston girl, and then Alagi from Skyline beats Bennett in the finals. So I thought that was, I guess you say upset Preston over Alordi. Alordi's been having a great season, and she still is, but that was one of the surprising matches there.
Yeah, and right away I look at 100 guys. I see Raylan O'Connor from Salmon take out Taylor Brown from Thunder Ridge. I know those are two just fierce competitors as well. Those are two names we've been talking about a long time here on the Prepcast. Again, Fred, it just seems like the more we have these girls compete against each other, the more muddled it becomes. It really is going to come down to, who is going to compete the best over a couple of days at state.
Yeah, some of these weight classes, they just keep going around and around and beat each other.
Yeah.
So, it's fun to watch as a fan. So,
Val, as a coach, how do you prepare your athletes to ensure that they are going to, because the competition is so good, you can't ever let up. How do you approach it in terms of districts is coming up and then state?
Yeah. So we talk about it like, hey, we're coming down to our last 5 practices, and is your season going to end or begin at districts? And we just give them that challenge and call it out and just be very real with them. Like, especially for this senior class. And I think that Fred, you can help me with this one. Like, this senior class has had the hardest journey when it comes to trajectory of women's wrestling. Like, they came in as freshmen, and you can still kind of be average and really get yourself to state. But now as a senior, because it's just gone like this when it comes to level of competition over the last 4 years of their career, they have to battle. And I think that those seniors mentally are probably going to be one of the strongest classes just because of that, because they've had to adapt so quickly to the level of underclassmen coming in with just such great skill that it's caused them to just persevere and just develop a lot of grit. And we just talk about that. Like, you have to have grit. You have to be focused. Now it's time. The hay's almost in the barn. So you have to keep working.
It's only going to get tougher.
It only gets tougher.
Yeah, you look at the freshman and sophomore classes, a lot of those girls have been wrestling since they were tiny. Just a little bit different. So
yeah.
Here's Tiffany and Brian in the chat. Man, our Idaho girls have jumped levels across the board. Thanks for all you guys do to grow women's wrestling, especially you, Fred, with Team Idaho.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been very impressive.
Oh, before I forget, I think Elise Twait has a big announcement. She just reached 100 wins. So this week, I think it was this weekend, or it could have been last week actually. So
yeah, we let it off at the top of the show, but a good reminder for those that weren't here. Elise Twait crosses 100 wins. We kind of rattled off her accomplishments. 37-0 this year. I think has been scored on once all year. That was from the number 10 wrestler in the nation down at Reno. I think the most impressive part, though, we all kind of agreed, was the 397 GPA, 423 weighted GPA, which is just awesome. So again, yeah, just awesome.
Cool.
Here's Matt Casey, and I guess we can use this as a pivot to the Kimberly tournament. Shout out to another 165 girl, Sarah Torabao, with her upset this last weekend in Kimberly.
Yeah, she wrestled Rihanna Walter in the final. It was a good match. So she's impressive. She's only been doing this sport for about 2 months, and she was a stat girl before that, and talked her dad into letting her wrestle. So she's had brothers who've been really successful too. So I think that helps.
So she just picked it up this year at the start of the season, Fred?
Yeah, she just started competing, but she's been around wrestling, I think, for quite a while. Her older brothers were pretty tough too. So
athlete's gonna athlete, right, Al?
Yeah. Right. No, it's only enhancing the sport. Long overdue.
Yeah. In terms of the team scores over there in Kimberly, Jerome wins at 187.5. Twin Falls takes second. Canyon Ridge third. Emmett fourth. Buell fifth. Kind of rounds up the top 5 there. It seems like a lot of the heavy hitters, Fred, were competing over in Pocatello, the Eagle and Thunder Ridge and Malad. But I'm kind of curious, where do some of these teams like a Jerome, where do they stack into the hierarchy when we get to state? We know they've got some talented wrestlers, but do they have enough?
Man, it's really going to come down to like how many do you qualify for the state tournament, and then how many of those girls actually are going to place, So I think Jerome has 3 or 4 girls that can make some noise and maybe place, and that's probably good enough to be in the top. I'm saying 10, like the top 10. If you have 3 placers, you're probably fighting for a trophy. So it's really what it comes down to.
Probably take five or six placers to win it.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can throw West Jefferson in that conversation as well. West J took 3 girls, had 3 places over in Kimberly, and as we learned last week, 2 of them are cousins, I believe. So that's pretty fun there for West J from East Idaho for sure. Were there any individual results that stood out to you, Fred, over in Kimberly this past week?
I better say something about my 107 pounder. She's a 100 pounder. She wrestled 107 this weekend. She Eva Finley, she won the bracket and she beat Vanessa Ortiz in the semis and then beat a girl, the the West Jefferson girl.
Montalvan. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a rematch from the week before and she beat her. So she had a good weekend. That was good for her. She won her first tournament as a high school wrestler, so that's cool.
Yeah, that one stood out to me too. I hadn't seen Eva much, and that's, for her and Montalvan to bump up was, interesting to see. So it's a good result.
Yeah, and then we talked about West J. So Montalvan took second. Alina Messerly wins at 100. And then their third wrestler that went over and competed, she won her weight class as well, Yasmin Robles at 185. So that's getting the absolute most out of your 3 competitors there for West Jefferson. Tell me a little bit about Marisol Bueno from Wendell at 138. She was the champ there, Fred. That's a name that I haven't heard a ton this year.
Yeah, she's been putting in the time. I think she was at 145 earlier in the year, and so I think she's dropped a weight class, and that helps her compete a little bit better. She looked good.
Yeah. In that same weight class, I see Jocelyn Blair. Is she just getting healthy and coming back? I haven't seen her much this season.
Yeah, so I think she's got she had 2 matches before that tournament. I'm not sure what her injury was, but she placed at 185 last year, so
yeah,
she dropped a ton of weight. She looks good. So,
go ahead, Fred.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. That really helps Jerome's lineup too. So they got both Olivia's at 126 and 132, and Jocelyn is proven that she can place at state. So there's 3 girls right there for you. And then their heavyweight did well this weekend too. I think she ended up second. So
yeah. In the chat, we were talking about Montalvan from West J. Here's Kip Messerly. She done well. Yep, for sure. Here's a shout out from Amanda Younger. I'm going to guess from Post Falls. Shout out to Coach Valerie Johansson. Gotta like that. Yep. And Al, this one is for you from Brian and Tiffany here. Al, those Rocky girls look to be rounding into form for the postseason. They are going to be tough.
They're a great group of wrestlers. They gel well together, and I just hope they peak at the right time. And
there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Okay. In terms of girls wrestling, the big storyline is districts coming up. Just generally, Fred, how many participants at state is a team that's trying to contend for the state title? How many girls is the school going to have to advance to the state tournament to put them on good standing?
So I think last year the average was about 6 for the girls. I think the winning team had 9. I think it was 9. That was Thunder Ridge had 9. So somewhere in that 6 to 9. But really what it comes down to is, do you have the placers? Do you have the people that are going to reach the podium? I think for the girls, I think that's why we see so many teams that could do something. There's probably 15 teams that can fight for a trophy there. So it should be fun. It should be fun to watch.
6 to advance, 6 to place. Those are the magic numbers.
6 to win.
Yeah. To win. Val, we make it sound so easy.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Up here in the north, we are just racking our brains. We get 2. We get 2. So this District 1 and District 2 for North Idaho is going to be a very tough district tournament. That is for sure. There are going to be a lot of girls that probably could be state placers that will be at home. with only the top two.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's going to be a great tournament. I'm super excited because I think the competition is just going to be fantastic at that district tournament.
Yeah, that is such a bummer, though. That I'm already just kind of thinking of names in my head that it's going to be disappointing if I don't see him at state, and yet I know it's going to happen for some of them, unfortunately. So, yeah,
and the same in Fred's district there. I think you guys bring 3, and you look through the rankings and stuff, and there's some of those weights. There's more than 3 girls in that district that are ranked. So,
yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who survives and who advances. Clarification here from Kip Messerly from West J. His shout out was to the Buell gal. Of course, a shout out to his own girl, but he said she done well, Fred. He was talking about your wrestler. So, yeah, well-deserved first place. Yep. Okay, here's a question for Val. Amanda wants to know, Val, do you think the Lake City tournament is a good test for North Idaho for state?
I think it's a good warm up. I think most of the North Idaho girls are going to be there. We were there last year and it was pretty good. I think that it's going to be very similar to the Conrad as far as the teams who will be there. I don't think that there's going to be anybody else that we haven't seen, but it's a good warm up and it's a good rehearsal for districts.
And that is this weekend?
That is, Saturday.
Okay. Are there any other regular season competitions, Fred, we should keep our eyes on? I guess I kind of assumed we'd all were prepping for districts, but
we start our districts on Saturday, so
okay.
We're the first ones to go. We thought we were kind of aligning with the eastern side of the state, and then we moved back, and I was like, oh no. So everybody gets a chance to see what we're doing, I guess. So
yeah, ours will be on Wednesday. Next Wednesday, the 19th.
Yep, that checks out.
When is the Boise district tournament for girls?
Anybody
know that?
I
think it's the Wednesday, not next week, maybe the week after. I think I have to go back. Maybe next week, I think. I have to look.
So it's Wednesday. Okay. I know East Idaho districts 5 and 6 are next Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, they hold it at the Idaho Center right in downtown Boise, so it's huge. They got about 8-9 mats on the floor, so be boys and girls.
Wow. Oh, they do that one together then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the only, Val or Fred, is that the only district tournament that's combined boys and girls?
I know ours is separate up here.
This is the first year we'll be separate, so.
Okay. So we're the 18th.
Okay, interesting.
District's the 18th, which is a Tuesday.
Yep, that's what Tiffany and Brian say. Tuesday and
Wednesday. Wednesday. Yep.
Fred, you thought you were going to be on the same timeline as East Idaho. It sounds like East Idaho is the last to go. Oh, well. Here's Mike in the chat. Needs to be more at large bids. District 3 gets so many bids. Everybody knows it. State of Ada. Just going to say it. Al, you're kind of the token representative of the state of Ada because that's where you're at. But Brian in East Idaho, Fred in the Magic Valley, Val and I up north, we can all kind of have the same complaint. Doesn't matter what the sport is. It seems like District 3 gets all the bids.
It's a big one. It's a big district.
It is. Yeah,
and District 5 of our states there.
Yeah, districts 5 and 6 are combined, and you try to figure out who's coming, and there's like 30 plus teams, but a lot of them just have one girl. So so it's not as big as you would think, but they get 5 from the east side as well.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what the district numbers look like, and because when they set those up, it was pretty evenly distributed. Mm-hmm. District 5 and 6 was equal to District 3, and then District 4 and Districts 1 and 2 were pretty similar. So I'm interested to see if it's still like that, or if some of these areas kept their girls wrestling better than others. So
that'll be interesting. Jeremy Shaw wants to know, for districts that only take the top 2, do they wrestle for a true second? They'd have to, right, Val?
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
they will wrestle for 2 seconds.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, before we wrap up the show here, Al has done a really nice job of putting together all of our collegiate wrestlers from the state of Idaho that are ranked currently somewhere in the national rankings. And there's both men and women on the list. So I thought we all could just take a look at the list together and just look at how impressive it is that so many wrestlers from Idaho at the next level are continuing to excel and do it. Real quick, last word to District 3, Tiffany and Brian. I'd like to compare the number of district participants per district. Ton of the bigger schools in District 3, 34 teams with most of the 4, 5, and 6A schools. I think our participants will be pretty high. Yes, I agree. We always say the state of Ada thing, somewhat joking, somewhat serious, but mostly joking. So, okay. Okay, so here's the list Al put together, everybody. I mean, let's start with the girls over there. I mean, in the NAIA alone, we have 3 girls from Idaho that are ranked at 110 pounds, number 5, number 10, and number 14. Lita Cruz from Minico, Tony Avellino, and Nia Avellino, both from Caldwell. That's pretty impressive. Fred, are those Avellino girls related?
Yeah, they're twins. So I would be interested to see how they act when they come home and they get in the same house.
Yeah, they branched off and went to different schools, which is interesting. So, okay. The highest ranked wrestler is actually Liv Weber, Al, from Eagle. She's at Eastern Oregon, ranked 3rd at 145.
Yeah, she's a returning 2-time All-American, along with Alyssa Randalls, who's a returning All-American as well at number 7. So then you got Cadence Beck from Eastern Oregon. I think she's a sophomore this year. I'm not sure.
Yes,
But,
sophomore.
Yeah, she's at 14. Really solid group. That's a good solid group right there. I think that's going to increase.
Yes. Cadence Beck from Grangeville, of course, the daughter of Andrew Beck. And she wrestled for, correct me if I'm wrong, Val, she wrestled for Grangeville, but she actually went to one of the smaller schools in that area, right?
Or Fino.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah. So that's interesting there. And then Zoe Ortiz is ranked in the JUCO ranks as well at Iowa Western Community College, the former Bonneville Bee, Brian, number 3 in the country at 131.
Yeah, looking really, really strong.
Yep. And then there are so many on the men's side here, just too many to list off. Let's all just pick one that stands out to us. Al, you put the list together. I'll let you go first.
You got Diedrich. He's up and coming, but he's starting to show promise. And, Drew Roberts is in the mix, but Rich Lovett, he's leading the charge. I mean, he's a 2-time All-American, ranked number 2. He's in a very tough weight group. So I'd say in Division I, he's as good as they come in that division. Division II, Hayden Tuma. I saw his name, and I believe he's the one that done all the Greco, right?
Yeah.
So he's at Colorado State. Then Dante Raggio of University of Mary went to CUNA, so he's in the mix. So yeah, that rounds off the Division I and II. NAIA is where it's at. We have a lot of kids there, but that has 2 returning All-Americans. Sawyer Hobbs, he's at Providence, South Fremont kid. He's an All-American along with Kenneth Copley of Embry-Riddle. Didn't he go to Sugar Salem?
Yep. He was big weight at Sugar Salem.
So he's a returning All-American, but it's apparently Nico Rodriguez, who's ranked number 10, beat him last week. So, but just a great group. I mean, you got Isaiah Twait, looks like he's doing really well. He's in the mix. Since last week, I added Gentry Smith. He's at a program in Florida, and he's number 11. So, and then Luke Jensen, he's a Rocky Mountain kid. Then you got Hunter Hobbs, Joel Campbell, and then Caden Ramos. I believe, before I even came to Idaho, wasn't he a Fargo champion, Caden Ramos?
I know he was an All-American.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, and then Simon Graber, Southern Oregon, the Columbia kid. So it's a pretty good. And then Jet Nelson, Centennial. What year did he graduate from high school here? Was he like 2020?
I don't know.
Sure. Some of these names are new to me, but no, overall that's the NAIA. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, I noticed that where Smith is in that Southeastern University. I think it's the Flames or something, and there's like 3 or 4 Idaho kids on that roster.
Yeah, I think another post-fall kid went there last year. I think there's a couple post-falls kids there. So no, it's great to see wrestling in Florida because there's some good wrestling out of there.
Yeah.
But the JUCO Hoyt Voss, I think he took third in his region. So I think he qualified for the national in the COA 4A. Columbia kid at Clackamas rounds out the JUCO. If there's anyone we're missing, please let me know.
Brian, I was going to ask you for your favorite name on the list, but Al went through them all. So
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, he named it. He got it. You know, obviously Ridge, he's on TV every week, so it's hard not to say Ridge. But I love what Hoyt's doing up there, North Idaho, building something great in the recruits. That's where we talked last week. They've got some of the best Idaho recruits going in there next year. So I'd love to see North Idaho College building what they're building. So I got to say Hoyt.
yeah, for sure. Here's Hoyt or HA in the chat. Thanks for your work on this, Al. Impressive to say the least. Great work, Idaho. Lynn says go Gentry Smith. And Amanda wants to know, Hoyt Haas is so much fun to watch. Is Tyson Barnhart ranked from Post Falls? We'll have to check that because Sam Seguin says, yeah, Tyson Barnhart. And Mike says 3 Post Falls wrestlers at Southeastern now, Smith, Barnhart, and Lane Reardon. So that's awesome. You know, I bet these guys never thought they're going from Idaho to Florida. And they're like, oh, finally, we'll have a nice winter, no snow. And then Florida gets a record amount of snowfall this year for the state.
That's right there in Florida, snow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to A school in the Navy in Florida. I tell you, it can get cold there. So don't let it deceive you.
Yeah, for sure. So that's just impressive. And again, we'll continue to update the list as we get more that are ranked for sure. So Fred and Val, thank you so much for coming on to talk girls wrestling. I'm excited to see that list on the right side continue to grow as we get more and more of our Idaho girls to the college level.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much, guys.
Yep.
Thank you. Appreciate your work.
Yep. See you guys.
See
Take
ya.
care. All right, guys. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up here? Next week, it'll be talking districts and previewing ahead to what, you know, the seedings might look like at state and all that fun activity. So, yeah.
Yeah, can't wait. You know, I guess district tournament preview, except we're going to have a couple district tournaments done, it sounds like. So kind of a mix.
I know, Al, you've got a big marker board behind you. We can't see it. And you're already sketching out brackets. And as teams and individuals get in, you're going to start filling it in, right?
Yeah, for state. Yeah. It's already ready to go. I'm just waiting for the brackets so then I can do the write-ups. But no, I just want to wish everyone the best. We're hitting the postseason. It's gone quick. I want to do a special shout-out. It's not that someone in Idaho. His name's Mike Finn. He's a journalist, National Hall of Fame journalist, Mike Finn, for Win Magazine. He just retired after 48 years. I just want to thank him for inspiring me to promote wrestling here in Idaho. Because like I said, back when I moved here in 2020, I was going to take some time off from all the years I had done it. And he inspired me to get back in and explore what's here in Idaho. And he's definitely a valued gem in the sport of wrestling and be missed. So I want to thank him for all his years of service. Yeah. Just when I thought I was getting out, they brought me back in, man. So
it sounds like we owe him a big thanks too, because we're glad you're here.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy. Because to be honest with you, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was just going to go with the flow, take some time off, retire a little bit. But man, he got me sucked right back in. So thank you. It's been a great journey.
Yeah, when I first started at Idaho Sports now 5 years ago, that was the number one question I got from everybody is, hey, when are you guys going to start covering wrestling again? Like really seriously cover it. And I was like, let me figure out what that's going to take. And I'm glad that we've gotten it back to the level that it used to be back in the day, because it's a passionate fan base that was underserved. And so I'm glad that we're able to help a little bit each week, you know, give the wrestling community that love. And I can't do it without you guys. I mean, you guys are the experts. So
it's a great place to be. I tell you, I'm blessed to be here.
Yep, for sure. Okay. Well, thanks for tuning into the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast, everybody. If you could, on the way out, please hit that like button or the subscribe button, and then share this when it's all said and done, in case somebody wasn't able to be here live tonight. They can check it out tomorrow, Thursday, even Friday on replay. And that'll do it for this edition of the Idaho Mat Chat Prepcast, brought to you by Green Solutions, Cleaning and Restoration. For Al Fontes, Brian Zollinger, Val Johansson and Fred Bartlett. My name is Brandon Maney. Thanks for tuning in to the Matt Chat Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.